It's beginning to look a lot like... No, I'm not going to sing that. Yes, it is. It's going to look a lot like Christmas. A frosty Halloween, maybe. The ground is looking white. The rooftops are white. Thick, heavy frost. Yeah, haven't got everything put away yet for the winter, the fall. Stuff to do. Winter's catching up on me. Still got to put away the hoses before the lines freeze. Still got to put the gardens finally to bed. Still got to put away the patio furniture. Although I keep hoping for a warmish day to still sit out and enjoy the deck and the yard, the fire pit. All right. It's the Jim and Terry Show. One last podcast before my good friend Jim actually arrives for his coffee and chat. And have you heard? Catching up on the latest. Boy, when 2 weeks go by, there's more than enough to chat about. It's not often that Jim and I would take issue with someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Or often that we would side with, well, we do side with, in the science, in the rockets of it all, Elon Musk. Not one to side with Musk on Twitter, not one to see right-wing conspiracy stuff being spread as being a good thing. But give me a rocket, give me the moon, or give me Mars, or to space and beyond. One of those things. Neil deGrasse took an issue, has a feud, you can find it on YouTube. Here's an excerpt.
Elon announces he's going to send an uncrewed mission to Mars. He and I got into a little dust-up in recent weeks.
Consider that he hasn't done anything that NASA hasn't already done. The actual space frontier is still held by NASA.
And I was surprised to see some headlines because it largely misrepresented what I actually said publicly. Didn't so much misrepresent it, but it made more of it than I did. Maybe because they felt it could serve as good clickbait. Let's go back a few years when Elon and SpaceX was commissioned by NASA to bring cargo to the space station. That was headlines. Oh my gosh, opening a new frontier in space, private enterprise, will they lead the way? And big headlines. And I thought, what?
I thought, what? Give me a break. You thought, what? Back in 2012, SpaceX, visionary, new engines, not using the old recycled Saturn V's or the Russians or anything else, developing an engine. The now infamous Raptor went through 3 iterations. Version 3 may be on the next launch, which is coming up in November. So stay tuned. Jim and I hope to participate in that one live on launch day. There's so much that deGrasse Tyson gets, in my opinion, my humble opinion, not a rocket science, try and insist, gets wrong about SpaceX compared to NASA. Yes, space was a national enterprise. It was a country. No individual could afford to do what the country with its tax income revenue could do. And they did amazing things, including the landing on the moon, which some people deny. But what gets me is that Neil deGrasse Tyson is saying Elon Musk hasn't done anything new. Well, the new rocket engine, that's new. Steel, that's new. Catching, that's new. 100-person starship, that's new. 100 tons of mass to low Earth orbit? And I'm not sure I got the tonnage right. A Pez dispenser side delivery system for Starlink version 2, or is it version 3? The one that's big. The old Starlinks used to be the size of shoeboxes. Now they're the size of cars, and they're going to be racked and stacked inside Starship and dispensed with this little Pez dispensers. You know the way Pez's work where you open the mouth of the Goofy or Mickey Mouse figure or whatever figure you've got, and out comes one Pez. You let it go, you take the product out of there, and you close it and you open it again, and the next one comes up. It's spring-loaded from the bottom. Very similar concept to Starlink's Space Pez dispenser on Starship. We haven't seen it demonstrated, but we've seen the cargo door open in a test, and I think it was IFT-3 that was tested. And I'm looking forward to all the changes that Elon Musk is doing in an iterative process, much like the manufacture of the automobile in the old Model T Ford days when Ford created the assembly line. Now we have an assembly line for rockets, mass production of rockets. That's not NASA. That's private enterprise. That's Musk's vision. Boca Chica time-lapse photography. That's Musk and his vision. But how do you keep the revenue stream going? You have to have success with small package delivery, which is the Booster 9 stuff, the first landing back on the launch pad set of rocket boosters that took packages to low Earth orbit. That is not NASA. That is Elon Musk. And so the Jim and Terry show we do enjoy the vision of Elon Musk for space. Whether we will live to see the moon landing, the moon base, the first expedition to Mars, the Mars base, and who will be the first Martian, the first person to step on the moon. Or if you followed some mock-ups of the Starship Martian landing vehicle, it will be a Starship landing on its tail with legs, I suppose. And out of the side door, the cargo door, will be lowered what looks like a scaffold beam. You know, the kind of stuff they use to do windows outside of skyscrapers? That will be lowered. So will the first footprints on Mars actually be a team of astronauts? And will they all be NASA astronauts, or will they be, as Elon Musk's private enterprise goes, he has a billionaire funding these missions where they tested the spaceship, they tested opening the hatch, they tested extravehicular activity suit that is so lean and not ungainly looking. No big backpacks, no big thick helmets. It looks like something you could play sports in. Streamlined, that's Musk. So when we look at, Neil deGrasse Tyson saying Musk is built on the back of NASA, well, I get it. I get that the early development of space, including the missions to Mars, the satellites, and all the things that went in were state-sponsored because they were so darn costly. And now we have Musk lowering the cost per ton to low Earth orbit to a ridiculously low number that maybe even the Jim and Terry show, using our pensions, could afford to beam to Earth from a Starlink satellite. Low cost of tonnage to Earth orbit. It's amazing. Now, of course, having said all that benefits the Earth through Elon Musk prototyping is the word to use, and mass production. And the key word above all is reusability. Musk is cutting edge reusability. Reduce, reuse. Yeah, we get it. Musk is doing it. And refurbishing his boosters so that they are used 10, 20, 30 times. That is where you see cost being dropped. So I'm sorry, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm sorry, I gotta disagree with you, and I sort of support Musk on this dust up. Whatever it is, whatever happened, I think comparing Musk and private enterprise and what he's doing with reusability and cost reduction, with prefabricated parts, with using new technologies that they're inventing to create the spaceship, both Starship and boosters, and to develop the third iteration of a brand new rocket engine with heretofore unheard of propulsion data. Will you need 33 when you get to Raptor version 3? Probably not. You might see a vastly reduced number of engines because the power is so large. All right, interesting. What'll that do? It'll reduce the mass to orbit on the booster. And anytime you reduce weight, you lower costs. That's the name of the game. Reduce your weight, your mass of your ship, and you got more room, more space, more tonnage to space. Musk is doing it. I'm sorry, I tend to disagree with those who hold NASA up as the vanguard, the be-all and end-all of space exploration. They were, run into some trouble lately with their SLS systems and have not succeeded in getting to they did get to the space station, but that capsule had to be sent back unmanned, uncrewed, because there were problems. So here is Musk with his Crew Dragon, able to send cargo and astronauts to the International Space Station, able to deorbit the entire huge array that we now call the International Space Station. SpaceX is going to be decommissioning it sometime before 2030, I believe. Moon as the objective before 2030 as well. So there's a lot of stuff happening right under our noses, and we are part of history. Speaking of history, we are part of, within a week of a U.S. election, a major one. There are elections in Canada. So far, Conservatives have lost 2 provinces. Does anybody call for Pierre Poilievre to resign? The U.S. election coming up. That might be the main topic of the next Jim and Terry show. Where do we think it's going? Who thinks what and why? And is there evidence? Evidence that must demand some attention. The Jim and Terry show signing off for now. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of SpaceX, not Starship Enterprise. How about just Starship? Bye-bye for now.